round of 32 of Stanbic Uganda Cup. And at the same time, tomorrow, still 21st of FEB, and the year is 2024, happen in Greater Nebi region, as you will also be expecting a tough clash between Pakwati Youngsters and the team of Wakiso Giants. It will also be the round of 32 of the ongoing Stanbic Uganda Cup. And at the same time, UEFA Champions League, people love calling it European night, returns, as Arsenal will be taking a trip away to Dragao to take on the team of Porto. Atletico Madrid, meanwhile, will be taking on the team of Inter Milan. This game will be at San Siro, not at the Venta Metropolitan. And tomorrow, still, you will be expecting the team called Arsenal playing, and also the team PSV Eindhoven will be taking on the team of Dortmund. UEFA Europa League is also bouncing back, and Crystal Palace, they have already appointed a new manager. The name of the manager, what you do is stay next to your screen. The channel, of course, will have to be that one of West Nile Television, as you will be in person to give you the name of the court. Crystal Palace has already appointed, and Roy Hodgson, I can tell you straight away that has stepped down as the head coach of Crystal Palace. And at the same time, bad omen for Mazzari, as he has been sacked by the club Napoli. And of course, they have also appointed a new manager. My name is Oraku Benson Pastore. I am not alone in the studios of West Nile Television. I am together with the public relations officer for Calvary, that's Oscar the Brazilian. And we are coming to discuss about Calvary. Not only the game they are playing tomorrow, Uganda Cup with URA. Remember, the second phase of Big League is also coming on the way. How they have been preparing, their ambition, their target. But our discussion will kickstart with the game, which is tomorrow. A very big class. Calvary is a team playing in FUFA Big League, a West Nile-based club. Meanwhile, URA is a team that's playing in the top tier of Ugandan football. Before we go into the contents about Calvary, I need to first introduce my guest. Matthias, I said he is the public relations officer for Calvary. I need to first answer him into the discussion. Oscar, you're most welcome. How is the panic? How is the confidence? How is the general atmosphere at Calvary as the game is taking place tomorrow?
Well, I must assure you that there is no panic.
Yes.
Because I have never been afraid of anything in my life. And Calvary as well, we are not afraid of anything because we have played big games before. We have played big games before. We have been in these kind of situations. I have been in situations like this, both as an active journalist in the field, but now in a position like this, I don't feel anything moves me. But we are well prepared, in brief, and we are ready to take on URA. It's a fixture we've been waiting for, particularly for the boys to test themselves, and, of course, to prove to the world and everybody how we wish that it was a live TV.
Okay, you are saying that the team is preparing very well. I don't know if the players are the ones that have been prepared, the fans are also preparing, maybe the whole technical team. The categories of the preparations you can mention to the viewers, the fans of Calvary.
Well, the first thing I want to say is that we have secured 2 more licenses for our players.
Yes.
We have 5 players signed this.
Yes.
And then we have Afema, who has been with us, but the guy never had a license because in the first round we had like about 3 players whose license actually never came to us, so we could not use them. So they make the list of the 5 players. But yes, by the kick of Uganda Cup, the round of 64. Have 5 of a zero was printed for us. The challenge has been that this player was double licensed with a team called Young Simba.
Yes.
Young Simba is the junior team of UPDF. Now that made it very difficult for us to use him because FUFA rule states that the competitions rule states that a player cannot play for 3 different clubs within a single season.
True.
So that is what made it very difficult for us, because we cannot go against the rules. Now, the most interesting, or rather I should say disturbing thing, was that FIFA went ahead to print licenses for this very player. Not us, FIFA printed. We even had the licenses for this player. But the problem is that FIFA again came out and wrote to us that we cannot use this very player. Now, in that event, our hands were tied.
Yes.
We have the license for this player, but FIFA is telling you cannot use this player. Yes. Because the rules state clearly a player cannot play for 3 different clubs. Now, we got to realize that this very player did not sign a contract with Young Simba. Now, Young Simba, I know you guys who are Ugandans, you know how you do your things. I am yet to come formally to agree to the fact that I'm a Ugandan by the virtue of how you do your things. This player did not sign a contract, but is a player. Is a player of Young Simba.
Yes.
That makes it very. That means that particular document.
Yes. Yes.
And the system of UPDF to disqualify the other team, because it is not so authentic that the player, even he himself will tell you, if you call him today, will tell you that he never put pen to paper to sign for Young Simba. Interestingly, he never even played a single game for Young Simba. So that is the basis that we have, and we are very confident that we can actually win that. But what I can say is that we are quite optimistic that this very player may not play the game tomorrow against URA, because the game will come too soon. Maybe the home game on Saturday against Karo Karunji is when this particular player can actually play. Okay. But as of now, we only have 4 licenses that are active, even though we have 5, but the only 4 that are active and cleared for us to use. The one of Osero is yet pending clearance from FIFA. That is what is there.
Okay, you mean the deal of Osero is already through? He's one of the new signings for the team of Calvary, but the game for tomorrow, the game tomorrow against URA comes too soon for the player called Osero. And before we talk much about the class tomorrow up against the URA, some viewers, of course, they are unaware of how the journey has been for the team of Calvary as far as the 50th edition of Stanbic Uganda Cup is concerned. And you did say the game you actually played in the round of 64 was against the side called the Northern Gateway. People also want to know how the game ended, whether it was an ugly win, whether you people played a good football. But what matters most in football is whether you can be able to knock out your opponent, maybe grab the 3 points in the bag. You can briefly highlight something about the game you played with Northern Gateway before we proceed with the class tomorrow.
We played against Northern Gateway, and I must admit that it was a very good game, an end-to-end game for that matter. That game, we scored fast and then conceded lately. That forced us to go for penalties. I think we have a full coverage of the penalties. It's actually online. If anybody is interested, will just be able to share a link and actually watch. We won 5-4 on penalties, and that is what pushed us to this round. And all along we have been waiting. We actually have been waiting for a team that is bigger, because we want to reawaken the boys with the tougher challenges, so that as we'll be going into our first game of the FUFA Big League round of in the second round, that we're going to be playing against Karo Karunji. That will be on Saturday, 24th. We want to test ourselves against URA. It's just not testing. We want to actually beat URA and get through to the next round. We are quite aware that most people active in the media trying to put the narrative around David Obua.
True.
But it's not only David Obua. I have a lot of respect for him. He's one of the best PRs that we have for Northern Uganda. He played in Scotland. He was successful. He trained in Republic of Ireland. He recently got his UEFA Pro license. And we believe that one of the most highly qualified local coaches that we have around is David Obua. But we have another good coach in Coach Simon Otim, formerly of Soroti City and Light SS. He plays the best brand of football, and just like I said, there is no team, even if Onduparaka would say it clearly, that plays a better brand of football than Calvary. That is for a fact, and it is proved. And us playing in that philosophy, it is the kind of philosophy that Obua is trying to instill in URA. A philosophy of the passing football, free-flowing, entertaining, that involves around 3 principles of play. That is pass, position, and of course play, pass, position. Those are the things that he's trying to instill into the URA team, and it is a process that is undergoing. It's trying to catch up with the players. But at Calvary, we have been doing that time and again, so we want to test the locally trained boys and the coaches around, with those who actually went for their trainings in Europe. We believe that's going to be a very interesting game at Midigo Arena tomorrow, and coming up against a big side. It's a high-profile one. Having Obua would be a good thing, but also giving him a tougher challenge and getting past him would be one of the best things that we could experience tomorrow.
Okay, exactly, Oscar. You have already given the exact description of the kind of football the coach of URA possesses so much, and also the entire kind of football the team of URA plays. And this question goes direct to you, maybe to the rest of the technical members. You are representative already here. What kind of tactics are you going to employ to see that you surpass URA?
Well, as Calvary, we usually have been playing ever since the season started. I will speak about this season. We have been playing mostly, I don't know whether you want the tactics in terms of formation, in terms of style of play, because let's look at the philosophy. Our philosophy is passing football with a lot of flair, with a lot of we look at flair, we look at entertainment, we look at transitions in between formations, we look at compactness. Those are what encompasses in our philosophy of play. Now, when we come to our style of play, we normally thrive on attacking and not defending from the back. We normally want to defend the attack from the front foot, and force our opponents to defend deep, and then create our chances and allow our fullbacks to move, and then get our midfielders to get into the holes, and then get the final passes for the strikers to score. We have been very unfortunate in the final third of the pitch, where we had Majorly in the first round relied on the services of Dickens Okui. He was not very prolific. I'm not saying that's the reason why we let him go, but it was a mutual agreement that he had to be let go. But we feel that the players that we have now with the new acquisitions, we are quite sure that the final tap-ins, because what we're lacking is the person to put the balls at the back of the net.
Yes.
Olabro Lawrence is good, but he has been disturbed by injuries here and there. So we believe that the final touches, the final person to put the ball at the back of the net is what we have actually been shaping. We played 2 friendly games. We scored 12 goals. We scored 6 past Total FC. We scored also 6 past Tipsa Football Club when we played in the last friendly in Koboko. So we believe that the final touches and the goals that we've been yearning for are finally starting to get back. And then the last thing about our formation is trying to concede fewer goals. We remember that in the first round we have been conceding goals for fun, but this time around we are trying to test whether the new principles of play that we have introduced this current second campaign, the issue has been, apart from playing the ball well, we want to look at how to play out of possession and how to look good without the ball. That's what they have actually been putting, and I'm glad that it has been working out.
Okay. Now, you know, every team has got a target. Before this edition started, you might have sat down as the stakeholders to maybe put a target. Maybe we want to maybe proceed up to round of 32. Maybe if possible, we go to round of 16. If things go on so well, we should proceed up to maybe round of 16, probably to quarterfinals, maybe also up to the finals. If things also work very well, maybe cleansing the gong, I mean the trophy itself. That's why I said you might have sat down as the stakeholders. What is the target, the primary target, the primary ambition for the team as far as the ongoing edition of Stanbic Uganda Cup is concerned? Do you want to go up to the finals, or else you people set a target of maybe stopping at the round of 16, maybe round of 32?
Well, there is a difference between a team that has come to compete and a team that has come to participate.
Yes.
So Calvary has come to compete. So if you have come to compete, you always need to have the mindset that you have equal opportunity and the equal chance of progressing to whatever stage. Our ambition is not to stop against URA. We actually would like to beat and determine to beat URA tomorrow so that we can get to the round of 16. Where we are is not by mistake. We have ever been past this stage before. Remember when we fell short against Vipers? That was before. I was still an active journalist in the field. I followed that. But where we are now, we want to get as far as possible. URA is just, we believe, is just a stumbling block for now, because we need to face them. We cannot avoid them. We must play that game. And we are going to be the mentality of winning the game so that we get into the next round. We know that this is a competition where the further you get, the more revenue you can generate in to get back. So we are more determined to get past URA. As concerned with our second round game of the FEB Big League, we would like to get from out of the position where we are. We are just above the red zone, which is not where we are supposed to be. We feel that we deserve to be where the top three is. So if you look at the gap, the mathematics, the gap between where Calvary is and Team Mbale Heroes, who are team seated third, is only 9 points. So when you look at the mathematics, we want to use our first 3 games. The game against Karo Karunji on Saturday, our away trip to Ginger North United, that will follow on Thursday, the following week after. Actually, next week Thursday, we shall be playing against Ginger North. And then we shall come back home the other Sunday to play against this team from Anaka, that is Young Elephants. Yes. So we want to use those 3 games. If we can get the 9 points, we believe that we will already be very close to the top 3. And you know, in the big league, when you look at the point gaps between the teams, you find it's just sometimes 2 points, 3 points. So the gap is not that much. So if we can get ourselves closer by winning the first 3 games, we would have made a statement. And the 3 points, actually, there's 9 points means a lot. If we can get them, our position is drastically going to change. And that will put us in a very good position where we can now start dreaming about the top 3. And our ambition right now is to finish within the top 3. We are well aware that it can be a little tricky where Police is, the team number 1. The point gap is enormous. We would think that what is very achievable for us right now, this current campaign, is a top 3 finish. And that means our dream of still going to the Uganda Premier League is still alive if we can be in the top 3.
Okay, I've loved the way how you have given the statistics about the team of Calvary and the other teams that are probably sitting ahead of Calvary. Let's finalize the business of Stanbic Uganda Cup before we maybe discuss something little about the second phase of FEB Big League. One thing I want to know from you is, you know, there are some people who are fans of Calvary, but they have little knowledge about Calvary. Yes, we are talking about Stanbic Uganda Cup, Stanbic Uganda Cup, Calvary playing URA, Calvary knocking out Northern Gateway. And some people might be thinking that this is a team that has ever won the competition before, and others, they don't know the longest journey the team has ever had as far as the tournament is concerned. Have they ever won the competition before? Have they ever maybe proceeded to quarterfinals? As this is the longest journey they have ever had, I think you briefly highlight the viewers before we talk about the second phase of FEB Big League.
That's interesting. I am quite aware that before even I talk about Calvary, I think in football history in West Nile, there has only been one team that went to the finals of Uganda Cup, and that is by the Black Angels. And unfortunately, they never won. So actually, there are two. Ondo Paraka was the first, and then Paida Black Angels followed. Within West Nile, they failed to win it. So on two occasions, there are only two teams from West Nile that have managed to go to finals. And Calvary has not been one of them that has reached final, just like any other team. So we have not gotten closer to winning it. I think the farthest we have reached is quarterfinal when we are hosted by Vipers. So we have not gotten past that stage, which we want to correct that narrative in this current campaign. We believe that we have the ability to carry on and go past that, and probably even to achieve more or better than what other teams have done. Onduparaka have gone there before in the finals. They lost 3-1, I think, to Vipers. Paida Black Angels lost at Greenlight to KCCA. And no any other team has actually gone that. And this competition is very, very juicy, by the way. Once you win it, you stand a chance to represent this nation at the CAF confederations. That does not only come with pride, it comes with the pedigree, but also comes with hefty spending. It's not an easy thing. But we also hope to be there. I would love to one day say, Benson, we are going to play Raya Casablanca, so we have a space for a journalist, and then we go there. I think that would be a plus. But we are working on a journey of going there, and you know, there are some teams that have been, even if I can give an example of the English Premier League, there are some teams that have never gotten even closer to top 4 in the whole of their history in the English league. But I think throughout, when the tournament was called the Kakungulu Cup, the only victorious team from West Nile was Paida Black Angels. When it was changed to Uganda Cup, the team that led us to the finals was, the first was Ondo Paraka, and then Paida Black Angels followed. So that means there is still a lot of work to do. I think African football is evolving and developing slowly, just like we witnessed the AFCON. I think this is the best AFCON I've ever watched. Was the one that was recently concluded. Best displays, improvement in players. Actually, the best VAR was at AFCON. So I think Africa is getting something interesting.
Yes, Africa is developing as far as football is concerned. I've loved the way how, of course, you have been giving it to the viewers. We have actually given the history as far as Stanbic Uganda Cup on the side of Western Nile-based clubs is concerned. And this time, let's talk about the second phase of FIFA Big League. It's at the door, almost penetrating into the house. And I remember it's not the first of its kind. Western Nile Television is hosting you. The other time we hosted you people, when you people had just played the 3 games at the start of the season, I remember Calvary won back-to-back games at the start of the season. When I hosted you people, you said the ambition of all the stakeholders of Calvary is to see that they cross the bridge, and they are planning to cross the bridge to start times Uganda Premier League. After that, things got spoiled for the team of Calvary. Yes, Matthias, you say that actually, the ambition still, the target still stands. You look at where Calvary is sitting right now, almost in a relegation zone, but you are still too confident to say that Calvary will still penetrate to start times Uganda Premier League. Me, I doubt it so much, because Calvary of late is a team that is suffering a lot when it comes to maintaining the results. You will see them drawing today, tomorrow they are picking a defeat, next game they are winning. So how are you going to achieve that?
Well, in the Ugandan league, in the big league, if I can say, it's just not a Calvary problem. Look, let's take Ondo Paraka for example. How many games have Ondo Paraka won away? None, not even a draw. It may not be an Ondo Paraka problem, but they made it a point that most of their home games, I think they only had a draw at home. The rest were wins. If I'm not mistaken, that was only that draw against Police. Yes. But the rest were actually wins. Now that comes with adequate preparation, but also sometimes the elements of luck comes in. There are some instances that cannot make you win a game. I remember I was here, I told you how we were robbed in when we went to play Karo Karunji in Ebanda. First of all, the trip, I think, is one of the longest trips you make. You travel like almost the whole day. You also drive the whole night. You reach the following day. So there's that element of fatigue as well. And then what has been accounting to our disadvantage has been also been we have never had a game live. I would think sometimes when we have games that are further, we should have them on TV so that the chances of teams being robbed does not actually come in. The same thing also happened with Onduparaka. They complained against Chinda Boys, also complaints against Ginger North. There were a lot of things that actually came in play. So it may not necessarily be a Calvary issue, but apart from Calvary, apart from police, I don't know if there is any other team that was managing consistency in results. Talk of Boma, talk of Bale Heroes.
Lugazi.
Actually, I think Lugazi and Bale Heroes have managed somehow. I think they have avoided defeats in their longest journeys. They went to Calvary, they avoided a defeat. They came to Onduparaka, they avoided a defeat. Bale Heroes came here, I think, got a 1-1 draw, which has actually been fair. So we believe that what we have learned from first round is going to give us a basis on how we should approach games in the second round. We're thinking of at least having a kind of, even if a small live streaming, that may not be acceptable by FUFA, but at least can help us have, if we had our game against Karo Karunji televised live, I think some of those referees could have been cautioned, or some of them even could have been banned. But we are not advocating for that. What we are advocating for is fair play, and that when we have these games, it should be on each team also have a fair chance to win the game. But our ambitions, why I am still confident, is that I believe that the moment you win 3 games, 9 points makes a very big difference in this league. Very, very big difference. And if we can achieve that, winning back-to-back and getting the 3 consecutive wins, you will see how the positions will actually change. And then from there, you'll virtually start seeing the narrative is going to start changing. When you get closer to the top 3, that's where the element of competition now comes in. And we believe that is where we want to be, to compete, so that we can still find ourselves there. Achieving a top 3 is still not very difficult. It's still something achievable, whereas maybe finishing top on the log might be debatable.
Okay, we are watching the space closely, and on top of that, the January transfer window was a busy window for all the clubs we have in the whole world. As far as football is concerned, probably you might have added some few names. I remember when actually we are still giving the highlights of the discussion, you mentioned the series, one of the new signed players. Probably you might have maybe some exit to maybe 1 or 2 players, and also added, apart from a Seru, maybe 2 to 3 players. You may also highlight the fans of Calvary with that.
Okay, we have players coming in, but I wanted to mention something very, very, very important.
Yes.
You see, some of the reasons why some teams don't win in this league is because of the influence of the mafias in the game. I will say this without any fear.
What do you mean when you talk about the mafia? Someone might be scared.
We have mafias in Ugandan league. There may not only be Ugandan league, but there are mafias everywhere. How do you tell that they're mafias? You ask yourself, honestly, do you really think that Onduparaka can play all their away games and they don't even draw? They don't even draw, or they don't even come close to winning one. Because for us, we won 1. We believe that that was the most fair game that we played at Anaka when we went to play Young Elephants. Do you think it is not physical? It's not possible that you can even fail to get a draw when you go away.
True.
So people should ask themselves around that area. Why was Onduparaka getting it easy to win games at home, but not winning away? I'm not saying Onduparaka was fixing games, but there could be some elements at play. Now let me give ourselves as an example. You find some players, a striker is remaining with a goalkeeper one-on-one. 2 clear-cut or 3 clear-cut chances within a game, but will not score. He will not score. A chance that you think even is just clear, a player should just place the ball at the back of net, will not score. Now, where the elements of the mafias come in is that there are now people who have gone as far as placing bets that this particular player will not score, and the player will not score. And that is it. That's what makes the league very challenging, that if there was element of fair play, it is not visible. It is not actually true that a team like Calvary cannot win any other single game or struggles to win a game. You will be able, at least I think we will be having many away games. I think this time around we have many away games. We have 6 games at home and then 7 away. We opposed to Onduparaka that are 7 home, then 6 away. I think we'll be able to have you have along, maybe have your own perception of how games away, actually how they are. But I believe that our game, we need to stand strong from the fans, from all the stakeholders, that if we allow the mafias infiltrate our games, and they're very technical, they infiltrate the players. So that's why all the teams need to be very careful with their players. And if you contract a player, you're not paying a player, those could be the avenue of how those mafias penetrate. Please do ABCD. We have placed a game. You may find an odd for a game is 4 for a win against your team, or for a win against your team, you concede 1 goal, you fail to score. Someone has placed maybe 20 million with an odd of 4. He's counting money. But at the end of the day, that's what is killing our game. We should stand strong. FUFA always ask us to report, and these elements, even we as Calvary, we stand strong against the issues of the mafias and the issues of fixing games. We don't like that to happen, and we would like us to collaborate and make sure that we end this kind of vice, so that we start enjoying our beautiful game without the influence of the mafias.
Oscar, 2 things before we leave the studio I want to know from you, and also fans want to know from you, is of late you don't see fans in dense population when it comes to attending the game of Calvary at Midigo. Is it because of late we have so many good clubs from Yunda? You talk about Coach Urban, you may mention Raka. Total is also performing very well. Teams like BK City have desperate the fans, because to me, the fans in fact flourishing to go and watch the game of Calvary at home. It has not been in dense population. And lastly, you may highlight as far as the verdict of tomorrow's encounter is concerned.
Well, Calvary having few fans or spectators in attendance, I do not think I should attribute it to the emergence of other teams in Yumbe. Let me just be exact. I think the issue, first of all, we are a bit disadvantaged in terms of our location, how far we are, because to reach Midigo, it's on a border is 10,000. It is 10,000 Ugandan shillings. That's then if you add on a gate fee, that is around maybe let's say 15,000 on average, and then to and from, someone needs 30,000. Which is, if you can compare to maybe a team like Araka is playing, someone can just walk to go and watch the game. Maybe you just need to spend 2, 3, or at most 5,000. So there is a bit of comparative advantage that happens everywhere. So I think the issue is just about where we are, but we are not about to change. I think the game of football is solved by how good you are playing. Slowly by slowly, fans, we know it as sacrificing, and the number is ever increasing. It starts with 1, 2, and then it adds up to the number that we expect. But we are slowly getting there, and we're doing our best. We know that this is something that is achievable, but it needs time.
Yes, about the verdict, your prediction.
I don't know whether you want the scoreline.
The scoreline.
Well, we are winning that game 2-1 against Obua's side. I know Obua is watching. We're beating 2-1. We can have a photo moment and, of course, do a lot of things after. But during the game, we mean business. We shall beat you 2-1. And then from there, we can provide you good security to come back to either when you want to lodge in Yumbe or you want to come and lodge in Koboko, travel. We shall make sure that you travel safely. And we know this is a game. We can still meet in another round, or probably when you qualify to the Uganda Premier League, we can still meet. You never know. Maybe one day, one time, Obua might become the head coach at Calvary, because coaches are always on a journey.
Yes.
Today they're here, tomorrow they're there.
Yes, me, I'm seeing a draw. It may be a barren draw, 1-1 draw. The luck team will take it in the penalty shootout. Yes, we have given you length as far as Calvary is concerned. It has been me, Benson Pastore, together with the public relations officer for Calvary, Oscar the Brazilian. I love calling him Oscar the Brazilian. Before we get out of the studios, we need to highlight viewers about the games to be played tonight in UEFA Champions League. Inter Milan is having a date with Atletico Madrid. Meanwhile, PSV Eindhoven is taking on Borussia Dortmund. Then come tomorrow, Porto is welcoming Arsenal, and at the same time, Napoli will be taking. In fact, Barcelona taking a trip away to Napoli. Last week, 4 games we have played. We saw Real Madrid edging RB Leipzig by 1-0. Manchester City, we had 3-1 winners over FC Copenhagen. Then on Wednesday, there was a game between Paris Saint-Germain and the Real Sociedad at Principality. Despite the Princess Paris Saint-Germain right now, they having the advantage after beating Real Sociedad by 2-0. Meanwhile, for Bayern Munich, it was a bad omen for them, and they traveled away to Italy, and they were aced by 1-0. So many stories to talk about, but we'll discuss them tomorrow.
Well, I think one about Bayern Munich. I think coaches have their moments. Honestly, when I look at Thomas Tuchel, he's one of the coaches who has won the UEFA Champions League. He came close with Paris Saint-Germain against Bayern Munich in that final. They lost 1-0. Of course, he repeated it when he beat Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, when he was at Chelsea. And I believe going to Bayern Munich is a place where people don't expect errors. People expect you have signed a hurricane. People expect that you have the likes of Jamal Musiala, you have the likes of Leroy Sané, you have the likes of Kim Min-jae in that team. You are now supposed to do the job, But he has been very, very unlucky, very unfortunate. Some of the odds, some of the things happening are things that other managers or the team has never experienced before. For instance, losing 3 in a row or failing to even have an attempt on target is very challenging, and they are now 8 points behind Bayer Leverkusen, which is worrying, because if at least they're not performing domestically, they should be performing well in Europe. I remember in the very season where Edin Dzeko was set at Wolfsburg together with Kevin De Bruyne, when they beat Bayern Munich, that was the time in a very long time that a team apart from Bayern Munich won the German Bundesliga. In that very season also, Bayern Munich did not do well in the UEFA Champions League. So it's kind of like history is trying to repeat itself. Bayer Leverkusen has never gotten closer to the top of Bundesliga where they are before, and Xabi Alonso is doing that, and 8 points gap is worrying. I believe if they lose the next game,
on top of that, they are still unbeaten.
They will not. He will actually not last long. Then maybe before I go, I think the game in Italy, if you tell someone that Inter Milan is going to play at San Siro, you would be actually mentioning the venue for AC Milan. So in Italy, they call that same venue, they call it Giuseppe Meazza. So that's where Atletico Madrid will be hosted by Inter Milan. And if it is AC Milan playing, it is San Siro hosting. So I think that is what the listener needs to know, that today's game, I am a fan of Atletico Madrid, but we are going to Giuseppe Meazza to face Inter Milan, so that we can beat them there. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yes. Lastly, Bayern Munich is in the market looking for new manager. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is in the list. Xabi Alonso.
That is a very big joke.
And also Roy Hodgson stepping down as the head coach of Crystal Palace, and they have already appointed a new manager, an experienced coach, that's Oliver Glasner. So we'll be discussing about that tomorrow. We are out of the studio because our time is up. It has been Benson Pastore together with Oscar. Still, I need to mention your title because people may just think that you came as a soccer pundit, but they have to know that you are the public relations officer for Medical Calvary Football Club. We are out